Warning: the following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences.
Welcome to our new video. Here are the 5 deadliest plane crashes ever. Number 5. Turkish Airlines Flight 981, TK981/THY981, was a scheduled flight from Istanbul Yeşilköy Airport to London Heathrow Airport, with an intermediate stop at Orly Airport in Paris. On March 3, 1974, the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 operating the flight crashed into the Ermenonville Forest, 37.76 kilometers, 23.46 miles, outside Paris, killing all 335 passengers and 11 crew on board. It was the first aviation accident to exceed 200 and 300 fatalities. The crash was also known as the Ermenonville Air Disaster. Flight 981 was the deadliest aviation accident in aviation history until March 27, 1977, when 583 people died in the Tenerife airport disaster. It, however, remains the deadliest single aircraft accident without survivors, the second hull loss, the deadliest accident involving the McDonnell Douglas DC-10, and the deadliest aviation accident to occur in France. Number 4. 1996 Charkhi-Dadri mid-air collision. On November 12, 1996, Saudia Flight 763, a Boeing 747 en route from Delhi, India, to Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, and Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907, an Ilyushin IL-76 en route from Chimkent, Kazakhstan, to Delhi, collided over the city of Charkhi-Dadri, around 100 kilometers, 62 miles, 54 nmi, west of Delhi. The crash killed all 349 people on board both planes, making it the world's deadliest mid-air collision and the deadliest aviation accident ever in India. The final report from the investigation found that the root and approximate cause of the collision was the failure of the Kazakh crew to maintain the correct altitude. Contributing factors included the poor English language skills in the Kazakh cockpit, resulting in inadequate interpretation of directions provided by air traffic control, and 3 specific incidents of failures in crew resource management, CRM, by the Kazakh crew. Number 3. Japan Airlines Flight 123 was a scheduled domestic passenger flight from Tokyo to Osaka, Japan. On August 12, 1985, the Boeing 747 flying the route suffered a severe structural failure and decompression 12 minutes into the flight. After flying under minimal control for a further 32 minutes, it crashed in the area of Mount Takamagara, 100 kilometers, 62 miles, 54 nmi, from Tokyo. The aircraft, featuring a high-density seating configuration, was carrying 524 people. The crash killed all 15 crew members and 505 of the 509 passengers on board, leaving 4 survivors. An estimated 20 to 50 passengers survived the initial crash but died from their injuries while awaiting rescue. The crash is the deadliest single aircraft accident in aviation history and remains the deadliest aviation incident in Japan. Japan's Aircraft Accident Investigation Commission, AAIC, 129 assisted by the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, concluded that the structural failure was caused by a faulty repair by Boeing technicians following a tail strike 7 years earlier. When the faulty repair eventually failed, it resulted in a rapid decompression that ripped off a large portion of the tail and caused the loss of all hydraulic systems, disabling the flight controls. Number 2. The Tenerife airport disaster occurred on March 27, 1977, when 2 Boeing 747 passenger jets collided on the runway at Los Rodeos Airport, now Tenerife North Airport, on the Spanish island of Tenerife. The accident occurred when KLM Flight 4805 initiated its takeoff run in dense fog, colliding with the right side of Pan Am Flight 1736 still on the runway. The impact and the resulting fire killed all 248 people on board the KLM plane and 335 of the 396 people on board the Pan Am plane, with only 61 survivors in the front section of the latter aircraft. With a total of 583 fatalities, the disaster is the deadliest accident in aviation history. The 2 aircraft had landed at Los Rodeos earlier in the day, and were among a number of aircraft diverted to Los Rodeos due to a bomb explosion at their intended destination of Gran Canaria Airport. The airport had become congested with parked airplanes blocking the only taxiway, forcing departing aircraft to taxi on the runway. Patches of thick fog were drifting across the airfield, so visibility was greatly reduced for pilots and the control tower. The subsequent investigation by Spanish authorities concluded that the primary cause of the accident was the KLM captain's decision to take off in the mistaken belief that a takeoff clearance from Air Traffic Control, ATC, had been issued. Dutch investigators placed a greater emphasis on a mutual misunderstanding in radio communications between the KLM crew and ATC, but ultimately KLM admitted that their crew was responsible for the accident and the airline agreed to financially compensate the relatives of all of the victims. Number 1. The September 11th attacks, commonly known as 9/11, were 4 coordinated Islamist terrorist suicide attacks carried out by Al-Qaeda against the United States in 2001. 19 terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airliners, crashing the first 2 into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City and the third into the Pentagon, headquarters of the United States Department of Defense, in Arlington County, Virginia. The 4th plane crashed in rural Pennsylvania during a passenger revolt. The September 11th attacks killed 2,977 people, making it the deadliest terrorist attack in history. In response to the attacks, the United States waged the multi-decade global war on terror to eliminate hostile groups deemed terrorist organizations, as well as the foreign governments purported to support them. Deaths: 2,996, 2,977 victims and 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists. Injured peoples, 6,000 to 25,000 plus.